Hi guys. So if you're like most of my clients, you are maybe in a little bit of a panic or at least super confused if you've gone into your website recently and tried to make any changes to your content, add a new section, add a new page. It is definitely different than it was a couple of weeks ago. So Squarespace 7.1 came out maybe a year and a half ago, somewhere along those lines, and it was amazing, total game changer. But now they have taken it even a step farther. So Squarespace is really upping their game. They created something called Fluid Engine, and it is now going to be the default setting on our Squarespace 7.1 websites. So Fluid Engine basically is just a true drag and drop system. So we've all kind of gotten accustomed to a lot of our social media content platforms where we can truly kind of click and drag elements and move them around to fit them together. And that's basically what Fluid Engine is. But it is a little shocking and different when you first see it. So I thought I'd just take a moment and show you um, kind of the basics of it. I'm not going to go into a ton of detail, but at least if you have a little bit of an idea, it will help you navigate this a little bit better. So I'm going to add a new section, and this would be the same thing if you're adding a page. When we have to add a section, we can choose between a blank section, any of these pre-made templates for us. If you look here in this intro, this is the intro area, and kind of take a peek at some of the new templates that are here for us, you're going to notice that like this one here at the top, it has the scrolling text and it's sitting behind this image here. Or the one here to the right has this large banner image and then it has an image kind of floating halfway above it and then halfway above or on the white space. That is what Fluid Engine is. So it's a total game changer. It's going to be awesome, you guys. We just have to kind of get used to it. Basically, it's allowing us to click and drag and move those elements around and make our website truly customized the way that we want it to be. So I'm going to go ahead and just choose a blank section for right now so I can show you sort of what the grid system looks like. Here's my section. You're going to notice that I don't have a plus sign here in the middle like we normally do with 7.1, so I can't just natively add a block right here in the center. Instead, I would be coming over here to the left to add a block. The section is made up of a grid system. So if I click Edit Section, I'm going to have my standard editing, like my background, where I can add image, art, or video, and I can change the color of it, obviously. But if I go back into format, I'm going to see that I have this grid here, and the grid is where we're going to be placing our content blocks and moving them around. If I keep it here on the fill screen, that's basically letting me keep my the entire kind of the spacing of the site. So it's keeping my margins on the top and the bottom and the left. I can manually change the size here by just moving the rows, but you'll notice that my margin is not changing. If I want to change that margin, I can either go to the height and click small. I can click the three dots, which would make it fit tight. Go back to medium. I can go to large, and that's just giving me a little more space on the top and the bottom. If I turn off fill screen, you're going to see that it just cuts me in nice and tight on the top. I'm going to go back to this. And then I am going to come over here to the left, and this is where we add our blocks. So I'm going to first add an image block, and I'm just going to grab an image from my library. By the way, if you haven't noticed, you can, if you're uploading images into a gallery, for instance, you can actually click and hit shift and add multiple items now, which is amazing. But let's go ahead and just add one image here, a little piece of merch. And then I'm going to add another block. So in the old version in Squarespace 7.1, we would change our image block and make it like a card style or an overlapping. Now we can do all of that ourselves and really customize without having to go in and change the spacing. You can do it for each individual element. So I'm just going to type merch here. Same as always, I highlight it. I can change it to whatever heading I want it to be, change the color here, and then I can just click and drag it these wherever I want them. So maybe I want this to be kind of here in the middle, and maybe I want it a little bit larger. Then I want this to sort of hover over the side of it. You can also completely change you can put a background behind these. So that's how you would actually be making your overlap or your card style for your images. You can decide which one you want to be in front when they're layered next to each other, over each other. You can use these here to actually move things forward and backward. There's just a lot that you can customize. So use your imagination. It's amazing how much we can do with the site now. It is a little tricky. Do not worry, you're not going to hurt anything by coming in and playing. So we always have our undo here arrow here. We also can go to done and say discard changes if you really mess something up. But I strongly, strongly encourage you not to mess with Fluid Engine on your live site just yet. Create a new page on the not linked area. Play around with it, get really used to it, and then you can go in and start editing your new site using Fluid Engine. If we want to, you can also completely change mobile. So maybe it looks like this on desktop, but then we can go to mobile and we can have a completely different version. So that's just amazing, mind blowing. That will be a whole nother set of videos. So stay tuned. I'll be adding more videos that kind of go into a little bit more detail about each of these pieces here. So I have this section. Maybe I'm not ready to go this route. I don't want it anymore. I just want to do the standard editor. No problem. You can remove this section. And when you go to add a new section, you will just, rather than taking the standard templates that are in here, because those are all going to be based around Fluid Engine, scroll down to the bottom here and there's an add blank classic editor. So if I click that, it's going to give me a section that I can work with that is the standard editor. So now I can just say that I want it to be a medium width. I've got my content block right here. I can use the plus sign to add my different elements, and it's going to be much more of that standard classic editor, which is a little bit more, I always like to think of it as like Tetris or maybe Lego blocks, where you're actually having to kind of force blocks in next to each other. And now we don't have to do that with Fluid Engine, but if you're more comfortable using the classic editor, absolutely just use a blank editor block. Use a blank classic editor block, and then you can play around with Fluid Engine on your own time. You are more than welcome to reach out to us if you'd like to, and we would be happy to teach you a little bit more, get into your site and help you customize it the way that you want to. Just go to my website, jenmaher.expert. You'll be able to schedule time with me, book an hour or a brainstorming session or 90-minute session, and I am absolutely more than happy to help you kind of get the hang of things in Fluid Engine or help you use it to customize your site the correct way. You will notice that when you're editing the current sections, just one more quick thing, over here on the left-hand side, it will say upgrade. If I click this upgrade button, it's going to turn an existing section that is a classic editor section, it's going to turn it into Fluid Engine so that you can start playing around with Fluid Engine there. That's fantastic when you've gotten used to it. I would not do that right now. I would definitely wait, go into the discard changes on my site real quick. Discard, my best friend. I would go into pages, I would create a not linked page and just have that be your kind of test area. Get to know Fluid Engine a little bit better, see how you like it, and then use it on the either upgrade your current sections or add new sections to make sure that you have your site completely customized.